Okay, biomaterials. So I think I'll use just a few minutes for introducing you about biomaterials. So we want to talk about biomaterials and concept of biocompatibility. And what happens if something else is coming into our body in contact, okay? So, we are searching for artificial replacement for failing human organs. There are success stories such as hemodialysis. Many of our elderly people having now artificial hip prosthesis and artificial lens. My both parents has a cataract surgery, so they do have artificial lenses. And however, still there's a limitation. And this picture would reveal some of the examples. It's like artistic presentation, but you look at that lungs. Do we have artificial lung? No. Do we have artificial heart? Yes, we have tried, but we do not have this nice small permanently working machine. Do we have artificial liver? No. Do we have artificial stomach? No. Do we have artificial kidney? Yes, partly we do have hemodialysis machine. That's huge. And so patient has to go to the hospital several times a week because we do not yet have this kidney artificially. So that actually shows, a good thing about us is there are a lot of work to do, okay? So then we have to understand this, this part, external foreign part inside our body. So that we call biomaterials. So what is definition of biomaterial? It's a non-viable material used in a medical device and intend to interact with biological systems. Or biomaterials, synthetic or natural materials that are used in contact with our own biological system. So for that, what is basically required for biomaterial? It has to have somehow work with our own body. Okay, that we call, of course, it should not be harmful. We call biocompatible. So, or non-harmful to the living body in which they are placed. And for this, oftentimes we use a soft or hard one. Soft for replacing or helping our soft tissue, and rigid one, for example, like bones. So for that, biomaterials are often polymers or metals. And the definition of biocompatibility is the ability of material to perform with an appropriate age response in a specific application. When this foreign body or metal or polymer getting inside our body, our body we call host, okay? Host will respond to that anyway. We have to understand this very clearly. So whether we can make it appropriate enough so that we can call biocompatible. Or biocompatibility is the ability to in contact with the living system without producing an adverse effect. I have to say there's no perfect biomaterial yet. So the goal is to minimize the adverse effect. Okay. So we can start with the history. And here comes a science magazine. It's a few years ago, but this shows a whole list. And I only want to go through a part of historical highlights related to biomaterial. So about 500 years ago, prosthetic hand, iron, made of iron with flexible finger joints, because some people lose their finger and then you want to put it back. About 200 years ago, endoscope has been developed for minimally invasive surgery. That is great. And about 1847, amalgam for dental filling, because teeth, tooth is a big problem for when people get older. And 1888, first contact lenses has been discovered, made, because we now know how to make the lens based on microscope, endoscope, or those. Why not? Can we supplement our vision? Okay, about 100 years ago, artificial hip replacement was done. Only about 70 years ago, we now understand. In the past, we tried to replace our organs and part of body but the problem they all like, necrosis happens, they die, and many inflammation happens. So, oops. Sorry, I cannot enter Bakxian. So that we call rejection of tissue. Okay, this has become a huge problem which we haven't solved until recently. So now we understand our immune system is actually rejecting whatever comes outside. Okay, even the same human, even the organ from another one, we will reject it anyway because it's not us. Okay, and 1951. First artificial heart valve was implanted, and you guys read about the story. And heart-lung machine, which we will talk about this session. And then cochlear implant. It's 1980, about 40 years ago. People who are losing their listening skill, and this cochlear implant is like electronic device, which start with the 1 channel, now 8 channel and 24 channel, which is a huge relief for many people who are deaf. Okay, and then 82 total artificial heart. Of course, people do not last long, but it's implantation of the first. And then the last one is left ventricular assist device. Instead of whole heart replacement, this is more practical until you wait new heart donors are showing up. So that I will discuss more. So I think this is time. I want to stop it here, and I'll give you 3 minutes for you to write down your question and in the base camp. And also, I think there's probably one left for Q&A session. I will let you know the stats later. But Park Ji-won, have you done the Q&A session?
네, 제가 하겠습니다, 교수님.
Yeah, I think probably this Wednesday will be your slot. Okay. So, okay. Yeah. Thank you for your listening. And